Welcome to day 3 of the DMA and Then event. We're thrilled to be here with Tony Winters. Tony, can you just talk a little bit about your role in your agency?
Sure. I'm Tony Winters, and I'm the principal consultant and CEO at the Winters Group, which is a new agency we're forming. That is a collective of marketing talent from around the world, and we're standing up virtual teams to get work done for clients in the area of strategy, content, and campaigns, and we specialize in B2B technology companies.
Oh, wow. That sounds great.
Yeah, thank you. It's
And
fun.
now, what brings you here to the DMA conference?
Well, we're going to be talking about the current realities of blockchain in marketing, because there's so much that could be done with blockchain. A lot of hypothetical, a lot of theoretical stuff, but we're going to talk today about actually what's happening today.
I know yesterday I interviewed Rebel IQ,
Rebel IQ, right?
and he was talking about blockchain.
Yeah, and what Rebel IQ is doing is they are validating that an ad that was served actually got served in the right place. That's the promise of blockchain and advertising, at least, is that it can take out some of the fraud and the waste and the abuse and the advertising tax, or
Right.
the ad tech tax, as it's called.
Okay.
So I like plays like that. And there are companies like Meta X that has AdChain, which is a token curated registry. So people are upvoting what websites are actually quality sites that should have ads served on them and that kind of thing. And what's interesting about some of these blockchain companies is that their intended use case, it turns out that there are other things that could be done with it. So I think Meta X is a good example of that. So they started for validating publishers for ad network kind of ad serving.
Right.
But token curated registries could be used for anything where you want to have a collective of people validating whether or not something is good or bad, and whether you stake your tokens and your reputation on whether something should be upvoted or not.
Okay, great.
So there are these little pieces like that around the ecosystem, but blockchain's way too slow at this point to consider ad serving, like the transaction speeds. It's not really
So
about...
it's not going to supplement any programmatic buys,
I
but
don't
just
see that,
validation.
not anytime soon. But a lot of validation and bringing truth into the ecosystem. So.
That's interesting, because that's the second time I've heard that from people at this conference, talking about how blockchain has a lot of potential, but the ad tech and the programmatic system just has so much volume and just can't keep up, and it's not at scale yet.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for that. And that's the thing about blockchain. It's not good for everything. It's good for the things where you're transferring one piece of information or knowledge or currency to another person, and you need to have that validation that something happened, a smart contract, if you will. But it's not good for everything, and that's okay.
Right.
It doesn't have to solve the world's problems. But it's also very early. This is like HTTP circa 93. We don't know what's going to happen.
I've had a couple of conversations also around the intimidation factor of some of the new tools and systems coming in, and people tend to kind of stay away or be hands off enough that they don't have the right control over it. So it'll be
and
interesting
the
to see how
companies
it
that
evolves
didn't
over the
embrace
years.
social got left in the dust, and
Certainly.
the people that didn't embrace the web, same thing.
Right.
So we all get there when we get there, and that's okay. But another thing I have really become conscious of because of the nature of this conference is the power of the individual and their data in the blockchain ecosystem. So
Speak a little bit more about that.
well,
what you mean there.
like sovereign self-identity, and the idea that I am in charge of my own data is the paradigm that's shifting, and so that is going to have profound impact on the direct marketing
Now, do you
world.
think that will level set the strength of individual brands? Because there's certainly, you always hear about the advertising duopolies and people that are kind of marginalizing it. And really what it comes down to is the data they hold and what they can do with that data.
Right.
Do you think that will shift and balance out? And
Absolutely. I think
democratize
that
it
there
a
are
little bit
people
more?
working on blockchain projects that are the Facebook of blockchain right now, somewhere in the world.
Do you think data will lose its value when that happens because it'll be more available to everyone?
I think it'll just change. It might become more valuable, but it's going to be more valuable to the consumer. So Facebook offers a great service, and it's free, and so there is an exchange of value there.
Right.
Facebook, that's the terms and conditions. If you use the service, they use your data. But in this blockchain paradigm shift, I think the consumer has to realize how valuable their data is. There's probably a metric for that at Facebook. There's got to be some tangible value on an individual's a lifetime value of my data. And if consumers could get present to that, then they might be willing to earn a few dollars or tokens for certain activities along the way. So,
well, it'd also be interesting too, because you see all the studies from Google right now coming out talking about how, customer expectations are over here, and 95% of the marketplace can't reach those. They don't have the data. They don't have the data linked together in the right ways to really deliver the personalization that people expect.
It's complex.
And so the understanding of letting people have your data will lead to more personalized and relevant experiences is interesting.
Right.
They certainly have that expectation, but
I know. And I've been preaching that for years as an ad network guy. Like, we're keeping the internet free, and more personalization is good for you, and it's not personally identifiable, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe all that's true, but I also know that the data is sophisticated enough now, and the tools that the companies in our industry use can certainly triangulate on exactly who somebody is, which is quite frightening from a privacy perspective. And obviously there are self-regulation and rules in place that govern against nefarious use of that, but it's still a risk.
So talk about, we mentioned AI and IoT, and certainly talked about blockchain a lot for a while. What are you really excited about for next year?
I'm excited about seeing where blockchain actually goes and cryptocurrency goes, because the regulation or even the threat of regulation in 2018 really sort of weeded the garden in terms of quality. And the cryptocurrency markets dipped in terms of their value, but that may not be a bad thing, and it wasn't a crash like the dot-com bust. It was sort of more like a level set, a recession, a crypto recession, which probably was needed to cool that off. So I'm excited to see where blockchain leads us in 2019.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised to hear it come up so much with different people throughout the conference this year. So it seemed to be a little bit further out, but there's a lot of people that have it really kind of front and center for next year, so it's really interesting.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
Any final piece of advice for marketers today?
Consumer attention has never been harder to capture, and just value that consumer as paramount to the success of everything. Consumer attention is all, and whatever you have to do to get it, keep it, retain it, but they are in control. And let's recognize that and honor that, and I think we can all be better for it.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It's been great having you here.
What a pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much.